What up? What up? What up? I'm back. I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Again. Clay is back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? What up? What up? Panther Nation, Ropp Gang. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. We have a lot to talk about. I know I've been taking some time off, but content hasn't stopped. Okay. Like live streams. Yeah. They took some time away from the live streams for a little bit, just because when you've been going on, when you're a content creator and with a team that is just as atrocious as we are, and with everything that's gone on this season, I just needed a mental break for a week to just not talk about the Carolina Panthers on a live stream. You know what I mean? Like an hour-long live stream, doing that every single day, Monday through Friday, even sometimes Sunday. Hell, I've been on and then being on other people's podcasts, and then it mentally just needed a break, man. Just needed a break. All right. But I was getting some shorts out to you guys, was still getting some content out to you, through some funny memes out there, through some, some good stuff. So I hope y'all enjoyed all that. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. As you come in, you know what to do. Marcos Cash knows what to do. He's already putting it in the chat. He's letting y'all know what to do as you're coming in. Whether you're watching over on Twitter or whether you're watching at YouTube, if you are watching on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel. Would greatly appreciate your support over here as well. Y'all have been a blessing to me. And we got a lot to talk about, man. We are going to be hammering a bunch of topics today. We're going to be talking about the head coaching hiring derby. We're going to talk about DeMeco Ryans' success and how that kind of affects how we might be going into our hiring process. We're going to talk about beyond the X's and O's. We're going to be talking about Bobby Slowick. We're going to talk about Evero. We're going to talk about Dan Morgan. We're also going to talk about the CJ Stroud versus Young. I know I took a short out, made a long part five series on that, but we're going to dive into that a little bit today as well. We're going to talk about this as well. The Bill Belichick and Harbaugh left on the sidelines. So a lot to talk about today as we go through today's channel or through today's live stream. So get in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts as you're coming in. We're going to talk a lot about this. Well, how about the playoffs this weekend, man? How about the playoffs this weekend? I hope y'all enjoyed some great football games. I knew the Ravens were going to beat the Texans. That's Ravens defense is just, they are going to be the key to the Ravens winning that Super Bowl. And Lamar Jackson playing at an MVP level. That's why I picked in the win. I knew the Lions were going to beat the Tampa Bay, but they played it close. The Buffalo. Let's talk about Buffalo real quick. Here are my thoughts on Buffalo. Buffalo needs to fire Sean McDermott because you're going to get the same results year in and year out. Josh Allen carried that team over there in Buffalo. Another thing is that, and I made a tweet about this, you overpaid Stephon Diggs to come in the playoffs and do nothing. You can't. Andy and Sean McDermott is also getting paid to lose to Andy Reid every year. It seems like in the playoffs, you got to get some younger talent on that defense. The defense needs to, they just need younger talent. Von Miller's old. Why they thought that Von Miller was going to come out and be the old Von Miller that he was, who's a great guy, a great player, Hall of Fame player, but the Bills have to do a rebuild on that defense. I think Sean McDermott needs to get out the door. As for the Chiefs, it's not a shock to me. I mean, Patrick Mahomes just knows how to win football games, and Patrick Mahomes is Josh Allen's daddy. It's a great rivalry. I think it's the best rivalry we've had in this era since the time of the Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. As for the Lions, they're just explosive, man. And I look forward to seeing what they do against the 49ers. I hope they win. But some good playoff games this weekend. Enjoyed watching all those games. It was a lot of good football to watch this past weekend. So more to come, obviously. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this head coaching hiring derby. All right. Let's get into it. All right. Let's get into it. So, first things first, let's diving into this head coaching temperature check, right? Because we're finding ourselves in this ultimate postseason competition, obviously within the NFL. Okay. The mad dash to really get that head coach who won't lead them into another series of awkward fumbles, hopefully questionable play calls. It's a race where only the strong survive or the swift survive. I guess you could say speed kills in this situation. The quicker you get someone, the better. And let's face it, survival in the NFL coaching world is akin to navigating a minefield blindfolded. Okay. Because this is a high stakes game of coaching musical chairs that we're going through right now. Okay. A franchise who are got a lot of few candidates to, go through who've been interviewed, all this stuff, hoping to land that key guy to orchestrate success again for the Carolina Panthers. Now, as history has shown us, though, the path of hiring playoff glory is a treacherous as an attempt to spike a football on a frozen lake. Let's be honest. That's how it is. We all know that. Okay. So if we take a look at these guys, these top three guys, I would say these are the top three guys, in my opinion, right now, because you got Ben Johnson. You picture this. An offensive coordinator, got a guy who's armed with an arsenal of cutting edge plays. Okay. He's a risk taker. He's a hot shot. Everyone is eyeing, right? He's an offensive maestro. Okay. Will he be the savior for the Panthers that we need, right? Or will he end up being just another maestro who loses his tempo when facing the relentless blitzes of the NFL defenses? Jim Harbaugh. This guy's like a renaissance man of coaching. Let's be honest. He's a seasoned head coach, has success all over the place. And he has that championship mindset. Okay. Jim Harbaugh has tasted victory at multiple levels. And now, guys, he's on the lookout for his next great conquest. Is he the seasoned general that the Panthers actually need them to lead them to that promised land? Okay. Or will his coaching journey take an unexpected detour? Right? Evero. You enter Evero, who's caught a lot of people's attention. He caught our attention this year doing what he did with our defense, despite being the most sought out after defensive coordinator in the league. Evero faces an uphill battle because, let's be honest, when it comes to the coaching, offense tends to steal that spotlight, right, over the defensive-minded coaches. Now, can he defy the odds and bring a defensive renaissance to the Panthers, or will he be overshadowed by that dazzling of the offensive mindsets, right? It's time for, we'll tell. The question is, guys, sound off in the comments. Who's your pick among these contenders, or maybe someone that I haven't shown on here? Do you have a wild card up y'all's sleeve that you think could come in here and bunker down the Carolina Panthers? All right. So I wanted to go through this coaching derby. That's just my mindset with these guys. I mean, I think these are the top three candidates. Obviously Bill Belichick is not here. He hasn't interviewed here. Obviously it seems like Atlanta's going to seal that deal, possibly. I just have a feeling that Jim Harbaugh is not going to come here. I think that he's either going to stay in Michigan or he's going to end up in San Diego. And we'll see. I can't believe is really being considered. We're going to talk about him too, Josh. We're going to talk about him. Not going to lie, the three guys I want is Ben Johnson, Slowick, and the offensive coordinator for the Bucs, David Canales. Yeah, I like it. I got a good feeling David Canales will be our next head coach. Could be. Josh, right? Tepper's still keeping his yes men around for sure. I actually like him, Marcos. Yeah, I like David Canales too. Dave Canales too. I posted a short about him. But we'll see. I mean, again, there's so much going on within this front office with this head coaching search, right? So let's talk about DeMeco Ryans. So here's the reason why DeMeco Ryans' success is kind of could affect our coaching decision. And here's the reason why I'm bringing this up. Because again, we're standing at a crossroads, guys, okay, in this whole coaching saga, okay? We have that burning question whether they should focus on the offensive side and go with an offensive-minded coach, or should they go with that defensive-minded coach, right? For me, I've always said I want a culture-building head coach. I want a guy that's going to come here and bring that keep-pounding culture back to the Carolina. So do some of these guys have that? That is the question for me. These guys have like you're talking about the Ben Johnsons, the Bobby Slowicks, which we're going to talk about here shortly, the Dave Canales, right? The guys that y'all are mentioning in the comments right now. Are these guys culture changing head coaches? Because you look at what DeMeco Ryans has done there in his first year as a head coach, what Bobby Slowick has been able to do as an offense coordinator there, and how he has transitioned CJ Stroud's rookie year, you got to give him props. Okay. Now, I think DeMeco Ryans proving that the Panthers might not necessarily need an offensive minded head coach, because here's the reason why. We're in this with our fan base. Okay. The narrative has fixated on revitalizing our offense, right? And rightfully so, because given the atrocious play calling, wide receivers not getting open, the development of Bryce Young, all of those things, right? And let's not mince words when it comes to all of this, guys. Let's not mince words when it comes to all of this, because the Panthers need offensive salvation, especially to unlock that potential of the investment that they made with Bryce Young. Now, the NFL, NFL has their myths, right? Solving an offensive crisis demands the appointment of an offensive-minded head coach. A case in point, that the roller coaster ride that was Matt Rule and Joe Brady's time, a good staff can be a beacon of hope, while a bad one can plunge a team straight into an abyss, right? But the resurgence that has happened over there in Houston under a defensive-minded head coach kind of challenges that cue, right? DeMeco Ryans, a defensive-minded head coach. He orchestrated a playoff surge, literally turned this team from nothing into a playoff contending team, and propelled one of the most outstanding rookie quarterback performances in NFL history. But what's the secret there? I think I figured it out, guys. I think that I figured it out. It almost is like how, if you think about it this way, it's almost like how Clemson, right? Remember Clemson? What Dabo Swinney has done? He surrounded himself with stellar coaches, right? Now, as those stellar coaches have gone elsewhere, what has Dabo Swinney done? Nothing, right? So that's an example. I get it. But what Ryans has done, DeMeco Ryans has done, right, has surrounded himself with stellar coaching, right? For example, Bobby Slowick, bringing the offense to life there, developing a rookie quarterback. And also, you got to give a shout out to the Houston's GM, because all the moves that they made this past offseason have been the right ones. And that it's also helped out with that team. So that's another thing. Now, Slowick, despite his defensive roots, they also say that he's a big-time offensive-minded coaching candidate. The lesson here, though, guys, is clear. A top-tier staff can really flip the script, okay? So beyond the offense, you got to find the best fit, right? That best fits our team, okay? Scheme, play calling, whatever you want to call it, right? Because while offensive assistance is a glaring need when it comes to this, right? The Panthers must not tunnel vision their coaching search. Opting for the best candidate, considering both scheme, culture fit, might be the game changer. That's why I'm so big on the culture change, because remember, it couldn't possibly go worse than the recent coaching roller coaster under David Tepper's ownership. Okay, Dan Quinn, you could even talk about him. Okay, Dan Quinn's another credible factor you could bring up, because there are dream hires out there, right? We want the dream hire for us is obviously Jim Harbaugh. Now, the Bill Belichick, that's just a fantasy in the past, right? The harsh reality is that the top tier candidates might have reservations given the team's recent struggles and polarizing ownership. However, another name that has resurfaced is Dan Quinn. I know he's been a proven leader. He's gone to a Super Bowl. He's had his credentials with, doing what he's done in Dallas, but also what he did there in Seattle, right? But the key lies surrounding him with the right minds. Now, perhaps someone like T. Martin, who's an offensive brilliance with the Baltimore Ravens, that's kind of hard to ignore. But Quinn isn't the conventional NFL head coaching hire. So that's what I'm getting at. So perhaps that's precisely what the Panthers need. Much like, if you think about it this way, much like Ron Rivera, right? Who wasn't this offensive guru, but led a team to a Super Bowl with the right support. So in this whole quest for credibility, a winning pedigree and a coach unafraid to stand up to ownership, that's the mold that we need, right? This team's future hinges on this pivotal coaching decision, a decision that they must get right this time, right? Again, for me, I need someone to come in here. To me, the best candidate has to be a guy, considering both scheme, culture fit, that is the game changer when it comes to our next head coach. That is what we need to be looking at. And hopefully they are. And hopefully that's their mindset too. Obviously, I am not going to speak for them, but that's what I think. Yeah, we'll talk more about Dan Morgan here shortly. Chris Mack, I want to get to some of these comments. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream as you're coming in. And if you're watching on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel. Make sure you come in and pound that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Raheem Morris has his second interview today. Yep, we saw news about that. If Dan Morgan is the new GM, then it's just like still having Fitter in the building. We'll talk more about Dan Morgan. Trust me, guys. We're going to talk more about it. Marcos, I don't like what I'm saying. I don't like what I'm about to say, but I feel like Morris is a Rooney Rule interview. Interesting. Could be, Josh. You could be onto something there. The question is, will Tepper let a coach build a culture? Again, what I just said, getting the right scheme, a guy that's willing to build the culture up, that is the game changer to when you are building a coaching staff and want success in the NFL. Again, it also has to come down to, I will continue cold-heartedly. I will go to the grave on this. David Tepper has to stop meddling within football operations and let the football guys do the football things, right? The football minds have to handle all of that. Let's see how DeMeco Ryans and CJ Stroud is after Slowick leaves, and that will tell. We'll see. And if Slowick does leave, time will tell on that for sure, guys. Time will absolutely tell on that for sure. All right. You might be correct with that rule. Do teams have to give a second interview to a minority, or is it just one? The Rooney Rule is, I think it has, Marcos, if I'm not mistaken, I think it has to be at least two interviews. So it has to be two, if I'm not mistaken. Josh, David Canales might be the guy also. I think so. I think he could be a tremendous head coach. I like what he brings to a table. He's a hot shot, great offensive mind. Look what he's done. He rejuvenated Geno Smith's career over there. Canales did when he was at Seattle before he came to Tampa Bay. And then look what he's done with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield threw for over 4,000 yards. So I think Canales is a guy you definitely want to keep an eye out on for. I'm all about Canales as well. I keep seeing the Bengals offensive coordinator as a legit shot to be our coach. If he can bring T. Higgins, would y'all be cool with that? Absolutely. Chris Mack, I think Callahan has done a hell of a job over there in Cincinnati. It's his name's Callahan. Mike, is it Mike Callahan? No, it's not Mike Callahan. Is it Mike Callahan? No, it's something Callahan. Bengals OC. Brian Callahan. Thank you. It's Brian Callahan. My bad. Brian Callahan. I mean, I think he would be a great hire. I think what he's done over there with that offense. I mean, obviously with all the weapons that they have, though. I mean, with Chase, Boyd, even T. Higgins, you got Mixon. I think, and obviously that's the thing that you have to think about. Is he as good as he is, even with the talent there and Joe Burrow? Is Brian Callahan that good? That is the question, right? I think another guy that's flying under the radar, though, I think Frank Smith, the offensive coordinator for Miami, is flying underneath the radar. Because look what he's done. I know that they have Waddle and Tyreek, but when you got Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterback and you get him over for almost 5,000 yards, basically, I think he finished the year at 4,600, something like that, 4,700. Even though you have those wide receivers that get open, I mean, Frank Smith is a guy you got. I think is flying under the radar just a little bit. I think that you need to take a little bit deeper dive into him. But Brian Callahan, I'm not too sure about, just because of the talent between Joe Burrow, Mixon, Boyd. You made it to a Super Bowl, but what if Brian Callahan left? Then let's see what that offense does. But again, I just don't know. Is he the right scheme fit, and is he the right culture mindset guy? That's what it comes down to, guys. Yeah, and that's the thing, Marcos. That's the thing with him. I'm not too sure about the play calls. Reminds you of Frank Wright? Debatable, but I think he's a little bit under the radar. I'd rather have him over. I would put him over Callahan. I saw one saying both of them are probably on X. Nice. All right, let's move on. So beyond the X's and O's, right? Because this is the whole thing that we have to get into, is that finding that perfect head coach, right? You have to navigate through these uncharted waters that we're going through, okay? We have 11 candidates already interviewed, a potential second round of interviews, right? Which we're going through right now. It's clear that, obviously, the offensive-minded head coaches is what is Tepper's playbook, right? He is hammering out most of those guys, I feel like. The thing is under Tepper's watchful eye, we have been sailing in a sea of uncertainty, right? We're seeking an identity, a culture that hasn't induced collective cringing, right? So, sure, there might have been some semblance of both, but let's be real, guys. Let's be real. It's been far from the prideful swagger we envisioned, right? Like, we're in this. I think the Panthers, you enter the youthful Panthers. Your quest is for a Dan Campbell kind of leadership. Dan Campbell-esque, right? Leadership. That's what people want, right? Because you've given the youthfulness of this team, right? Lots of young players. The promise of even more fresh faces in this upcoming season. The Panthers need a leader that kind of gives that Dan Campbell vibes, in my opinion. Because if you picture this, a coach who walks into a room and the sheer force of their presence commands respect, right? Leaving everyone nodding in sync with the team's vision, a singular voice that drowns out the other chefs in the kitchen, right? Right? Of all these conflicting messages that plagued us this last season, right? Too many cooks in the kitchen, right? That's what it kind of goes back down to, right? So now you have to be able to search for that accountability there, right? Because Ian Rappaport came on to Pat McAfee's show recently and spilled the team on what the Panthers are truly after in a head coach. Forget the offensive schemes, the playbook wizardry. They are on the lookout for someone who can handle that mighty sword of accountability, right? That is basically what Ian Rappaport went on there and said. Okay. And a little quote that Ian Rappaport said on there was saying, he said, I would say that they're looking for as far as a head coach goes into someone holding the players accountable, and know that last year in Carolina, they didn't always think that way. Right. Basically. And that's what he's saying, which means that Tepper, the man with the vision, apparently had certain expectations that weren't met. Right. But the burning question that hasn't been answered is, was Tepper a meddler or just a dissatisfied with the coaching standards, right? So you got to crack the Tepper code, meddler or just high standards, okay? Because the enigma of Tepper's expectations looms large. Is he a meddlesome owner meddling in the mutiny of this team, or is he the perfectionist that is dissatisfied with subpar coaching standards? I think that's a riddle that not only candidates, but the entire Panthers fan base is trying to solve. And one thing's for sure for me is that the Panthers aren't just searching for a coach. They're in pursuit of a coach who can crack that accountability code, but also brings in the right scheme fit and the right guy that can build the culture up here. That is what has to be done. Again, someone that is going to tell David Tepper to sit his ass down, someone that's also going to hold these players accountable for their poor performances or their actions, someone that's going to build that culture up there in Carolina, bring back that keep pounding ways, but then also has the right scheme fit for this team. And that's what it goes beyond. That's why this segment was called Beyond the X's Up. And that's what I truly believe in, guys. Let me sit down for a second. This damn sun is kicking my butt. Guys, it's good to be back. I love seeing all y'all in the chat. Appreciate all y'all in here showing your support. Oh. Sorry, I had to sit down for a second. That damn sun was getting crazy. Let's see what the chat's saying right now. I'm so glad we stopped interviewing. Dude, when they said that they were interviewing him, I was like, please, God, no. Chris Mack. I was like, please, God, no. Not Brian Johnson. Not Brian Johnson. Canales did great things with Baker and every quarterback he has coached. He is my secret favorite for. So is he your dark horse, Chris Mack? I'm not big on Slowick because I think Stroud made him look good. I think that's debatable, Josh. I think that's debatable, that comment. I think that an offensive coordinator can still be a guy that developed him. That's just me. Chris Mack, yeah, I'm seeing reports that the Eagles are about to fire him. Yeah, I mean, they should. They should. I could be wrong though. I don't have any deep opinions about our head coaching situation. I'm so ready to, honestly, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I'm so ready for it to be over with. I'm ready for this whole thing to be over with. I think Tepper has good intentions, but just hates having shitty coaches. Maybe he gets it right this time. And maybe he does. I think maybe he made the right move by bringing in that sportsology uh team. I think it was the right move, and their resume speaks for themselves and what they've been able to do with certain organizations and rebuilding them back up to winning ways. And they help you hire the right guys, and we shall see. We shall see. Do y'all think we hire the coach before the GM? I mean, Chris Mack, I don't like doing that. I'm not a big fan of hiring the coach before the GM. It's the NFL is all that's ass backwards, in my opinion. You always want to hire your GM before the head coach because you want to make sure that they're both visions match up. And that's been the issue that we've been dealing with for ever since Tepper hired the Matt Rule before Scott Fitter, and then you hire Frank Wright, which I don't even know if either one of we don't even know if Frank Wright's vision matched up with Scott Fitter's vision. But again, at the end of the day, that's something we'll never know. I pray he gets this one right, Chris. I pray he gets this one right too. Coach Rivera getting interviewed for DC. Good. Yeah, I saw that too, Marcos. Good for him. He deserves it. I think he deserves at least. I think he's better off going into a coordinator job. I don't think he needs to be head coaching anymore. I didn't realize how much I enjoy your show, Clay, until you were gone. Josh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you for the kind words. I really do. I really appreciate all y'all that come in here and show me support. Goes a long way. It just goes a long way. QT0, Bryce over Stroud. We're going to talk about that. Dark horse for sure. Nice. Sports Illustrated just reported Brian is fired. It's official breaking news. So Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, has been fired. I saw that coming from a mile away. The guy's coaching, the guy's play calling is atrocious. I mean, I don't know who came up with the tush push, but I don't think it was him. And what they've done with, Jalen Hurts, though, I think is they've got too much over there. I think the problem with the Eagles is that, number one, I think that A.J. Brown is a drama queen. I think he is a locker room killer, just like Stephon Diggs. So I hope that Carolina doesn't go after Stephon Diggs. I've heard some reports on X, and I've seen some Panther fans say go after Stephon Diggs. Absolutely not. I don't want a drama queen here. We got enough drama with a meddling owner. I don't need a locker room killer either. So less drama, the better for the Carolina Panthers. Just going to be honest. You think Tepper's selling point to hire a good okay, what's the question here? You think Tepper's selling point to hire a good head coach is telling him that they can pick their own GM? I don't know, Chris Mack. That doesn't make sense to me. I think that you need to I think it's still, you have to go after your GM first. And then what you're supposed to do is go after your GM first and then let your GM hire the head coach. That's how it's normally done in the NFL. Sometimes but we've never done it that way. We've never done it that way. All right. So, it is what it is. I feel it's important to get the head coach first, and the GM needs to have the head coach's vision. Maybe in this situation, QT, because we're in so much stiff competition of finding that next head coach compared to the GM position. Because Adam Peters is gone, and that's the guy I wanted. But it's ass backwards when it comes to the NFL. QT, if you look at how every team is done in the NFL, they always hire the GM. The GM then picks the head coach. And that's how teams have been successful most of the time. But in this situation, QT, it might be the route. It might be the route that they go. They get a coach they go with they get that coach and then they match up the vision with him. But again, only time will tell with this whole situation because we've got so many interviews between GM and head coaches. Josh, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. And I see you. I'm just telling you what he brings. I'm telling you what baggage you getting a guy like that brings. You're gonna get he's a locker room killer. I'm telling you, he's a drama queen, and I don't want him here. I don't like Stephon Diggs personally. I don't like him. I think he's a drama queen, and if you're gonna be a drama queen because you're not getting the ball, well, that's because you're not getting open. So that's just my opinion. But that's that's neither here nor there. So I seen an article saying Dan Morgan has been part of the head coaching search, so I think he's our new GM. I mean, could be, or he's going to remain the assistant, and they're just going to put a head coach in front of him. I mean, a head GM in front of him. I don't know. If somehow we got Diggs, it would make drafting a lot easier. Well, what if we got like a guy like T. Higgins? If you get a guy like T. Higgins or even any of these other free agents out there, Mike Evans, Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown, that does change some things there too. With one of those guys as well. I think the GM tags and trades Burns. I think that's probably going to be a move, Chris, because of the cap situation and how much money he's going to need, how much he's looking to get paid. I think it's going to be a big issue on signing Burns, not because that the Carolina Panthers don't want him here and not because we don't have a first round pick. I think that obviously, and that could be part of the issue, but I think it also has to do with the fact that the cap is it's horrendous. We have so much cap issues right now. We only have $40 million to work with. So you can't go out and find you can't sign a guy like Burns to a big major contract when you have cap issues and you got dead cap hitting so hard. So I think and I hate to do that because I want Burns here, but at the same time, the cap is a major issue with this team. So you're gonna I see it too, Chris. I see it too. I've been on here multiple times saying it. I mean, Marcos makes a good point there for sure, James. Marcos makes a good point about that. Higgins is at least from the Carolinas. He sure is. He sure is. Same thing with another top wide receiver. I agree, Clay. Yeah. So again, there's no telling what's going to happen, man. There's just no telling what's going to happen. All we know is who they're interviewing, and that's really it. We don't have any more news than that. Have you heard Tepper's thinking about having two GMs? I've heard something about that. I mean, I'm assuming that one's going to be a cap guy and another one's going to be a scout guy. I mean, that's the only way I would see it if you have two GMs, right? Marco's like one's a cap guy who can work the cap, and another guy is a guy who can really scout talent. So maybe they're going to, I don't know. I don't know. That would be different. But again, we also have to think that this sportsology firm is the one that's consulting David Tepper on these decisions and what he should do. They're consulting him. That's what they do. They're letting him know what he should do, what they think of each and every individual that they interview. So Canales, if he's our coach, then maybe Mike Evans to the Panthers. I mean, possibly, but I don't know. I guarantee you, I think Tampa Bay resigns him. I think Tampa Bay re-signs him. I think he's one of the most underrated wide receivers probably in the past 20 years. Probably in the past 20 years. I mean, look what he's done with with some pretty ridiculous quarterbacks besides Tom Brady and Baker Mayfield now. Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer, but he's on the back end of his career is loyal to the Bucs, not Canales. Yeah, exactly. I just don't see it. Even if we got Canales, I don't see it, Chris. I don't see it. Maybe 2 GMs isn't the worst idea I've heard. Maybe not. Like I said, one guy could be a cap guy, another guy could be the scout guy. And then they put those two and two together. And they work it out that way. But I guarantee you, I don't think they can be both considered general managers. I think one would probably be general manager, and one they would name one general manager, and the other one be an assistant. But yet they're general managers. I don't think you can name 2 people general manager. I don't know. Someone find out for me if you can name 2 guys in your organization both general managers. Someone let me know, because I've never heard of that before. Let's hope Tappan opens his billionaire dollar ears when it comes to sportsology. For sure. For sure. They read that the reason why San Francisco is now is because of that sportsology firm. When they were down bad in 2013, by 2016 they were going back to playoff contenders. Took 3 years, but they were winning football games. And they were getting the right talent and everything. And then look at them now. Vice president operate. Okay. So that makes sense. That makes sense, Josh. Thank you. We definitely need a new scout guy. So maybe he can hit on draft picks again for sure. That's been the biggest thing for me. When it came to the GM position, I came on here and I told you guys that I want a guy that's going to come in here and who can draft talent. I don't care about the cap space as much as the talent that you bring in, because that is more important. What you put on the field to me is more important than what the cap because the cap can always be meddled with. Look at the Saints. They meddled with that cap for years during the Drew Brees era. So trust me, there's rounds away around the cap room and cap space and money. All right. Bringing talent in, that's a total different story. The only thing that bothers me about Dan Morgan is that he have some ownership of his this garbage roster. We're going to talk about Dan Morgan. Let's talk about Bobby Slowick. Okay, let's talk about Bobby Slowick. Okay, now the Vegas odds in this whole thing is that the odds are rapidly shifting in this whole thing. Okay. Slowick right now is from an 18-1 to a razor thin to 5-1 for the head coaching job in Carolina. So the Vegas odds went from 18-1 odds to 5-1 odds for him to be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Now, what happens in Vegas may not stay in Vegas, especially when it comes to these kinds of stakes, right? But Texans out, Slowick's in. With the Texans are out of the playoffs. Slowick is on his coaching tour, taking interviews from every team that has a head coaching vacancy. The Panthers are not wanting to be left out of the action with this guy, and they threw their hat into that ring, and they're dancing with Slowick. They danced with him last week. But why Slowick is the question, guys. Why do you want Slowick? Why do we want Slowick? Okay, that's the question that needs to be answered. Well, here's the thing. He's a product of the hottest coaching tree in the business. A roller coaster resume that reads like a whirlwind romance in the NFL. Okay, he started as a defensive assistant under Mike Shanahan, and he survived a coaching purge, embracing analytics at Pro Football Focus. Listen to this. And then rode the Shanahan way back into the NFL. So his journey from a defensive quality coach to a passing game coordinator is a script. It's like a Hollywood script, honestly, waiting to happen. It's pretty interesting how this guy's, journey from all these different things in his resume to what he's done now. Now, let's talk about the CJ Stroud effect. Okay. When you enter in CJ Stroud, he's a rookie quarterback who became that golden boy of the NFL under Slowick's guidance. Now, Stroud has had a spectacular rookie season. Okay. Capulated him to stardom. Okay. And Slowick basked in the glory of the orchestrating an offense that defied the rookie norms. Now, passing yards per game, offensive struggles be damned. Stroud, let's be honest, was a maestro. Okay. But Slowick was that wizard behind the curtain, right? Wizard of Oz, right? He was the Wizard of Oz. CJ Stroud was Dorothy. Okay. Slowick was the wizard behind the curtain, right? So when you making the credentials on a deeper level, making of his credentials on a deeper level, let's bring it here. Slowick brings that kind of coaching experience that usually takes decades to amass, okay? But he has come through the league so fast, like sonic speed, and has navigated both offensive and defensive landscapes with an analytical approach that sets him apart from others. Now, he climbed that ladder under that Shanahan group, okay? And Slowick's trajectory is nothing short of mediocre. And we all know that these guys coming from that background of the Shanahan group, look what those guys have done in the NFL. Because on the surface, it's as simple as it gets. Slowick turned Stroud into a superstar. And the Panthers want that same magic, right, for Bryce Young. The logic is clear. If Slowick can orchestrate Stroud's rise, why can't he entrust him with Young's? Why can't he do the same with Young? It's a straightforward pitch. But the unpredictable realm of coaching, simplicity can be the ultimate game changer. So in this world of superficial sports fandom, okay, where we've discussed coaching, profiles, Slowick brings a new dimension, in my opinion, okay? If you look at his resume, with the potential to play a high school student in an acting gig, right? Think about it this way. You're this high school student. You're going to play in this high school play. You might end up getting an acting gig, right? His hiring could be a blockbuster cast move, right? But let's not forget the subplot of this whole thing, expanding the list of former Washington assistants finding success elsewhere. That is the whole thing that makes it intriguing to me. Because Slowick's contributions to that Texans offense renaissance make him an appealing prospect for the Panthers. And I think it's a desperate need, especially if we want to upswing this offense. The Texans went from an offensive oblivion to a complete 180 under Slowick's watch. I know it's a Hail Mary. I think it's a Hail Mary for the Panthers. It's a daring gamble to catch the lightning bolt in a bottle, but he revitalized that Texans offense. So that's just my thoughts on Bobby Slowick real quick. That's just my thoughts on Bobby Slowick. Exactly, Chris. That's why, even when I do these mock drafts, I tell people when I do these mock drafts, there are guys in the late rounds that you can find some sleepers. The Rams have been one of those teams that have done that. They hit on guys in the late rounds. Not every guy in the first round or the second round are always going to be hits. Every draft pick is a miss, Chris. Is a risk, not a miss. Every draft pick is a risk. So that's why I think the way that I do. Oh, Saints are always it's so true though, James. They're always over the cap. They're always over the cap, but they somehow still meddle and make contracts work and whatever. Then they move things around and they meddle with that cap space. I'm digging Slowick. We ain't getting Ben Johnson. Slowick is my second choice to Johnson. Nice. But the Texans thought they would have had number 1 pick. So I know Slowick did research on Bryce. And I remember if they picked first, they would have picked Bryce. So I'm sure he has a plan for Bryce. Possibly, Chris. You make a good point there. You make a good point there. You make the good point. Exactly. Good pitch on Bobby. That's interesting. Yeah. I have to listen, keep pounding. When I come on here, I got to do some research before I open my mouth. I'm not one of those people that is just going to come on here and blab about somebody and not know them. You know what I mean? Got to know your you got to know your stuff when you're doing content or you'll look like an idiot and no one will watch you. Plus Slowick is part of that Shanahan. Yeah, exactly. You go look at the Shanahan tree. A lot of successful guys. Step on that like button. 15 viewers and only 10 likes. Come on, people. Yes, please do. Please do. We got 16 people watching, so make sure you pound that like button. Hell, I've seen us up to 25 people in here, so make sure you pound that like button as you're coming in, guys. We got a lot more topics to talk about. I'm going to trying to make this I was only trying to make this an hour, but that ain't happening. So, going to be here for a little bit longer. All right, so pound that like button as you're coming in. The more you like, the more people get in here, the more we get that chat rolling, and we grow this community. Because I love chatting with you guys. It's good, feels good to be back on here. So appreciate all y'all. So make sure you pound that like button, not the hearts. I like the hearts over there in the chat. That's cool, but that like button, that thumbs up button, that's the thing that you got to do. The thumbs up button. Okay, smash that. Smash that. The greatest quarterback ever was drafted in the 6th round. He sure was. Mr. Brady. Mr. Brady. Keep pound that like button. Thank you. Keep pounding. James Island says same thing he said. Ditto. There's literally 4 or 5 guys I wouldn't be mad at for head coach. Name them off there, Josh. Name them off. All right, Evero. Let's talk about him. Okay, so we were just talking about how the offensive-minded head coaches aren't always the ones that you have to go with, right? Because Evero, who's defensive-minded, you can explore every avenue. You can intrigue that internal option, and I think Evero makes that case, okay? All right? So I want to dissect Evero real quick. I'm going to break him down real quick because – okay, you got to find, of course, we are just trying to find that coaching stability when it comes to this team, right? We've casted a wide net out there in our search, right? Trying to find that head honcho. Obviously, with interviews with external candidates are in full swing. We all know that. All right, but let's turn that spotlight into the internal guys, okay? Chris Tabor, the current team's coordinator / interim head coach in 2023, and Evero have both completed virtual interviews. As we all know, Tabor chat might seem like a formality. I think Evero's case carries more of an intriguing twist when it comes to the guys that are internal. Now, if you look at Evero's resume, first things first, you have to understand about Evero's coaching journey is this. He has been through a roller coaster ride. Okay. But he's also this defensive minded maestro. Think about it this way. In the midst of the chaos of injuries, underperformance of our defense in 2023, defensively, though, he was the shining beacon. Now, despite the struggles in the rushing defense and the points per game allowed, but that unit showcased impressive stats. And I think that it has to do with a lot of not only the talent they brought in on the defensive line and the talent they didn't bring into the corner position, but the injuries and bringing in practice squad players and what he has done with our defense and then finishing in the top 10 for defenses is a feat that we cannot go unnoticed because he was able to navigate all these storms. And I think that speaks volumes about his coaching. Now, Evero, his past has been, he's had mentors like John Gruden, Jim Harbaugh, Sean McVay, Wade Phillips. So Evero has been schooled by some of the brightest minds in recent football history. If you didn't know that, I just named them off. John Gruden, Super Bowl winner. Jim Harbaugh, a winner in this league. Okay. Sean McVay, Super Bowl winner. Wade Phillips. Okay. So he has been mentored by some of the brightest head coaches in football history in the NFL. So the coaching tree is an often crucial factor when evaluating a head coaching candidate. That's why I was talking about Bobby Slowick with the Shanahan tree. So when you look at that list, the list that I read off, he's been underneath a lot of coaching brilliance. Okay. All right. Now the different direction of the Panthers. We are known that we are trying to pursue that offensive minded. And of course, we are also at that crossroads, defense or offense, right? Those are still some crossroads that they have to navigate through when interviewing these guys. It might not fit the traditional mold, but the track record speaks volumes. So the prospect of the continuity of the defensive side, especially if an offensive-minded head coach is brought in, holds strategic merit, and Evero's ability to turn adversity into defensive excellence is a testament to his coaching. But another thing is this. They're weighing their options. We know that. But I feel that Evero emerges as a candidate, guys, that with both promise and a penchant for defensive brilliance. So while not conventional offensive-minded choice, but his potential evaluation to head coach could provide stability the team craves. And after the whirlwind of changes of the past 2 seasons, Evero's promotion could offer a semblance of continuity for this young Panthers team. So, is the best hire? Is he the best hire? No bull, no hype. Let's cut through the hype. Evero's potential promotion isn't the flashiest headline grabbing move. Is it the best hire? Objectively, guys, it might not be the most glorious choice, especially in the fast pace of the world of the NFL coaching searches. However, I think it makes sense. And here's the reason why. He's a stabilizing force. He's got that defensive brilliance and a chance for Evero to really craft the team in his image. That's just my opinion on Evero. That's just my opinion on Evero. So if we somehow hire Evero, then who would you want for DC? He has to be a 3-4 guy, so most likely otherwise it would conflict. Keep pounding. I would have to look at DC candidates that he could hire and run through that. That's something that if he got hired, I would break down. Evero could be good too. What was the defensive red zone under Evero? I have no idea, Marcos. All I know is that we finished 5th in yards per game, something like that. So that's not bad. If we pick a defensive head coach, I'd take Evero. Yeah. Keep pounding. 63 point in the NFL. Not good. Yeah, that isn't good, Marcos. That's a good stat line there. Did not know that. I kind of figured it was going to be high because our offense couldn't stay on the field, Marcos. So I can see why it's that high. I can see why it's that high because our offense couldn't stay on the field. And he was also dealing with injuries as a defensive coordinator and was taking practice squad players and turned James Franklin almost into a starter. And then look what he did with Jameson. So that's my only argument to that. But other than that, it's not a good stat line. Evero is continuity. Yep, I pass on Evero. So you pass on Evero. Fair enough. The fact that Evero dealt with a ton of injuries and still had them playing well is encouraging. That's really, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm getting at too. But we still finished 5th in the league for yards per game allowed. So still pretty good there. But again, it doesn't help when your offense can't stay on the field longer than going 3 and out every drive, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, that is a terrible. I'm glad Marco's brought it up though. It's a debatable. It's a debate that we can have another time. All right. I think if Evero got the head coaching job, then I think he would promote from the staff he has because he's going to call the defensive plays anyways. Yeah, Chris Mack. The thing is with the head coaching, the next head coach, I don't want a guy who has to be who head coaches have to be that guy to game manage, but and sometimes is involved in the play calling. But I don't want him always getting involved with the play calling because here's the reason why. I need him to be focused, right, on managing the game, not as much as I'm trying to explain this. How I've said this before, I'll say it again. When Frank Wright was calling plays, he wasn't taking the time to manage the game and also manage the players. And as a head coach, you have to be able to manage the game and manage the players and your coaching staff. If that makes sense. So like paying attention to the clock, stuff like that. Keep Pounding comes in and asks, who do you want to keep first versus let go off the list of potential free agents? If you need the list, I can post it. Yeah, Keep Pounding. Post the list real quick, please. I think I went through that list recently. Post that list. I think he could be like a DeMeco Ryans, just focused on defense and call the defensive plays. Possibly, Chris. Possibly. What I want to know is who the locker room wants as a head coach. I don't want Evero to be the next Wilkes. I mean, if Steve Wilkes came back, I would be happy with that. Look what he's done. Look what he did. That's the thing. He brought that Keep Pounding culture back. He also almost won the NFC South with Sam Darnold as his quarterback. And he turned it back into our game-winning ways when we were ground and pound and played tough defense. He turned us around. I truly believe we need to keep Luvu, Brown, and Burns. Josh, I mean, I'm on the same. I'm on the same wavelength you are. I just think Burns is going to get tagged in trade. I really do. I think Brian Burns is going to get tagged in trade. Ron Rivera is interested. Yeah, he wants the DC job, which I think he would be great for. I mean, I think he would be solid for that position. Pick up Horn's 5th-year option also. Yeah, I would say pick it up. Just see what he's got. See if he can stay healthy. Right? All right, Dan Morgan. Okay, so we're talking about the general manager thing. The chessboard of possibilities is becoming more intriguing with this, guys. I really think so because you spotlight. Because when it falls on the assistant general manager, Dan Morgan, a familiar face with this whole Panthers saga, who apparently seems to be the next GM, from my understanding. But we all know that he's a former Panthers linebacker. Now he's turned into the assistant general manager. Basically, he was merged as a key player in the old folding drama that's gone on here in Charlotte. And returning to Carolina in 2021 as Scott Fitter's right-hand man, I think Morgan finds himself at the center of the GM hunt because the whispers in the league suggest that Morgan is not just a candidate, but a strong contender, having undergone second interview for this position. Now, what adds spice into this whole narrative with David Tepper as the owner? To retain some key members of the front office during this transitional phase I think is something that's probably going to happen, even if it's not Dan Morgan. And then alongside Morgan, you got Vice President of Player Personnel, Adrian Wilson, and then a Director of Player Personnel, Cole Spencer, have been part of the head coaching interviews, apparently. Just so y'all know. So Tepper's inclusion of these figures hints a desire for continuity amidst change. Okay. A lot of insiders, though, are coming out speculating that Tepper might want to consider a strategic pairing, maybe the two GMs, contemplating the addition of executive with a salary cap and contracts background, like names like Alec Hallaby, Brandon Tillis. They have surfaced in this context. So that's suggesting that Tepper is orchestrating a careful dance, considering the contemplating skills needed for the Panthers front office. Now, Dan Morgan's journey from being the Panthers' first-round pick in 2001 to a strong contender for general manager role speaks volumes to me, because following Fitterer's time, 3-year time, Morgan's rise has been rapid now, showcasing versatility by working on both the offensive and defensive side of things. His extensive coaching background and close association with Fitterer make him an intriguing choice. Now, here's the thing that I'm getting at is this. Scott Fitterer, Morgan's best friend and former colleague, left a mixed legacy during those 3 seasons, right? Well, while well-liked and known for shrewd acquisitions, we all know that 14-37 record is what got Fitterer fired. The lowest winning percentage over that span. And Tepper's consideration of Morgan, despite this association, raises some questions for me, adds a layer of complexity to the decision-making process. Now, we all know that Ben Johnson, the Everos are all been involved, because they're waiting on Detroit Lions offensive coordinator to become available for an in-person interview after their playoff run. The coaching carousel is still continuing, right? We know defensive coordinator Evero, all right, the architect of the 4th-ranked defense in the NFL, gears up for a second meeting, right? Or he's already had a second meeting. I think he's already had his second meeting. Anyways, the Panthers also plan a second interview with Brian Callahan. I don't know if he's had his second interview yet or not. But in this whole coaching whirlwind, it appears that the Panthers have quietly moved on, thank God, from Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles. And with 11 of the 12 known candidates have completed interviews, Johnson's absence signals a shift in focus, because as the coaching saga unfolds, the Panthers seem to be narrowing down their options in the quest to find that right leadership. And this whole grand scheme of things about Dan Morgan, though, I think he stands as a pivotal piece. The tussle between retaining front office talent and ushering in change adds layers to the unfolding drama here. As the team navigates this erratic game, us Panther fans are basically kind of almost like holding our breaths, wondering which moves will shape the future of this beloved franchise. I'm not big on Dan Morgan, but it seems like the Panthers are big on him. All right. Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that he's going to play on a franchise tag to keep pounding. I think that I don't think. Yeah, okay. I just saw your next one. Talk to the Jags first. Burns needs to be traded. I think Burns, you could either trade him to the Broncos, Seattle. I think you could either trade him to, or you could trade him to the Cardinals. I think the Bears could be a team that maybe you could get some capital back from them. The Rams, the Jaguars for sure. The thing is with the Jaguars, though, is that are they going to sign Josh Allen? Because they can just tag him and move on. But we'll see. So essentially $30 million for re-signing and free agency out of the 40 total. Yeah, we're just getting killed in cap space. We're getting killed in cap space. So honestly, we're going to have to make some moves from some people that are under contract. I have a feeling. Keep pounding. We might have to take some hit on dead cap, but at least we'll have the cap space to maneuver a little bit more through free agency. I've been over that before. Definitely pick up Horn's 5th-year option, yeah, just to see if he can stay healthy in a full season. If he gives me 15 games, 14, 15 games, I'm cool with it. I agree with Luvu and Brown. I can't let them go anyway. No, you can't. I think you can backload Luvu and Brown to keep all three. Maybe you're gonna have to maneuver some cap, and you're gonna have to probably, if you're gonna do anything, you're gonna have to restructure some contracts to do that, Josh. I was saying that during the season, but when we played the Jags and saw they don't need Burns, they do, but they would love to have both. That's the thing, Marcos. I've heard that the Jaguars are seriously interested in Burns. They want to have Josh Allen and him alongside each other. So we'll see. I'm unsure too. I was just breaking down what I know. I'm just breaking you down what I know. Some people concerns with Dan is that he could do the exact same thing as Scott. That is my concerns too. I think so. I keep pounding. I think you make a great point there. I think whoever, if they don't hire him as the next head coach and they can't keep him as DC, I think we're going to have some players wanting out. I really do. I really do. Yeah, they already robbed us. That's for sure. Guys, as you're coming in, make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. And guys, if those ads come up, skip them. I don't expect y'all to watch them all the way through. I know some YouTubers tell you to watch them all the way through because, yes, it helps our revenue. But I'm not going to. All I ask for you guys to do is make sure you pound the like button and subscribe. That's it. That helps me out enough. I just like coming on here and talking ball with you guys. Bears already have Sweat. He was he was their second choice. Burns was their first. And when they couldn't get him, but got DJ instead, they went with Sweat. Yeah. I mean, I think that to this day, I think that Burns should have gone over DJ Moore. I'd rather had DJ Moore still here. That's my opinion, but it is what it is. It's the past now. You think the Panthers pick a coach or GM this week? I don't know. Chris Mack. I really don't know because, again, I think they're also waiting on Ben Johnson. And now that Dave Canales is out of the playoffs, they can interview him. And now that Bobby Slowick is out of the playoffs, they can interview him again. So, with Ben Johnson still in the playoffs, I just don't know if they hire a coach. I can see a GM this week. I can see them doing a GM this week, if anything, but not a coach. I think they're going to wait for some of these guys that they're trying to interview that are still in the playoffs. I think they're going to try to interview them first. Or they're going to wait to be able to interview them. Any idea on how much influence the hiring firm has on the head coaching decision? I broke it down a while back. Josh. Let me see if I can pull up that article real quick. Because it does have a lot to do with it. Yeah, okay. So actually, here's my notes on it. So the Sportsology, okay? So I'm going to explain it to you real quick. So this is to Josh's question here. So I'm going to explain it to you real quick because I took some notes on this. So the Sportsology firm that they hired is under Ford's, Fords, Ford's leadership. Okay, what that means is they bring in a wealth of experience and a successful track record in assisting sports organizations in key personnel searches, okay? Now, notably, they played a pivotal role in the search for the Charlotte FC, which means they got the Dean Smith as the head coach. But the Ford's influence extends to the NFL, where they have provided, like I said before, they provided assistance to teams like the Rams, the 49ers, and the Falcons in their coaching pursuits in the past. Now, one of the Ford's notable successes includes the strategic recruitment of coaching talent, showcasing his ability to identify the secure top-tier candidates. So Tepper's decision to enlist, so which means the Sportsology services underscores a commitment to a meticulous, thorough search process, which means that they have to leverage external expertise to identify the most qualified individual to lead the Panthers. Now, here's the thing. The timing of the coaching search, with everything that has gone on, faces a constraint common to several NFL organizations, and the same thing that boat we are in. Okay. So the league's protocol does prohibit in-person interviews when coaching candidates currently employed by other NFL teams until the conclusion of the divisional playoff games. Right. So this limitation means that Tepper and the Panthers, along with their other counterparts in the coaching searches across the leagues, must exercise patience until the completion of these playoffs fixtures to proceed with the crucial face-to-face evaluations. Okay? That's the best way I can explain it to you. Yeah, whatever people want to do, they don't have to watch my whole stream either. I didn't get your link, brother. What if Ron Rivera comes back as the OC? I don't want Ron Rivera here. Sorry, guys. James, I don't want him back. Sorry. I'm watching Big Cat's video on Dan Morgan. He really didn't bring in much talent when he was in Seattle or Buffalo. I didn't think so either. That's all. In Buffalo, that was all Bean, Marcos. I didn't think so. Ron Rivera is an OC. He's a defense DC-minded coach. Yeah. I don't want him here as the DC. He'll probably go to the Eagles anyways because he's already interviewing with them. James. So. Sup Pantherology. When is earliest you think we hear new coaching announcement after title games? I think it's going to be after the Super Bowl when they hire a head coach. I really do. I really think it's going to be the week after the Super Bowl's over with, because after that week of the Super Bowl's over with, free agency the week after that. So once the Super Bowl's over, the rest of that week is done. Okay, they could hire him then. But then the next week starts up the free agency. So I think they would have to hire him the week after the Super Bowl if they're going to do it. So I think they're going to hire a head coach after the Super Bowl. And I think they'll hire their GM before that. That's just me. Did you get my link? If your chat doesn't allow, it's on Panthers Wire. I didn't get the link. No, sir. I didn't get the link. I don't see it. I didn't see it. Is that the YouTube channel called Panthers Wire? Keep pounding. Because I'm gonna have to look it up now. Or Panthers Wired. I don't see it. Keep pounding. I don't see it on YouTube, brother. No, it's an official Panthers news page. Is it on YouTube? Oh, Panthers Wire. You mean the article? My bad. US Today, right? Aren't they with US Today? Panthers Wire is? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I see they reportedly scheduled a second interview with Rams OC. They're no longer expected to interview Brian Johnson. And then they're reportedly planning on second interview with Dave Canales. So nice. And then they've got Ron Rivera interviewing for the Eagles, DC. Apparently, Thomas Brown's getting a second interview with the Titans. Falcons reportedly have requested a second head coaching interview with Ejiro Evero. We've got our second interview, planning on a second interview with Evero. Evero is also reportedly getting a second interview with the Seahawks. Let's see. Brian Callahan is getting a second interview. Mike Disner, I knew that was not going to happen. Reportedly withdraws from the GM search, so I knew that was going to happen. I just seen a tweet, someone talking to Canales' brother, saying he wished his brother would be the Panthers head coach, and he said that from SoCal, and they love Bryce Young. Interesting. That's interesting, Chris. That's very interesting. When ain't you mad, Chatter? Matt Chatter going off in here? Is Matt Chatter going off in here? Except the fact that Tepper won't listen to them. He only wants what he wants. Exactly. Keep pounding. That's the issue. Matt Chatter, what's up, man? Matt Chatter going off in the chat, my boy. Look at it. Look at this kid. Look at him. Is this the thing? Is this thing on? I'm mad. Stephon Diggs can't catch. Stroud is him. Suck, Cash. That's probably what he sounds like. Or he sounds like, I guarantee you, Matt Chatter probably sounds like Napoleon Dynamite. Just pissed off. Oh. Chris Mack, I'll tag you on Twitter with the post. Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate that. I definitely want to check that out. It's official. Yeah. I know who it is. Keep pounding. My bad. Should be listed as a Panthers 2024 free agents. Oh, you meant that. Okay, hold on. Let's look at the list. Okay, so Keep Pounding asked me to go through who I would want to keep versus who I wouldn't want to keep through the free agency. All right, let me find it here. Carolina Panthers free agents. Free agents. Here it is. 2024 free agents. Okay. All right, I'll share my screen with this since he wanted me to go over this. Hello, my fellow losers. I believe I will announce Bill Belichick as our next, damn it, Toxic Black. Coming in here, being toxic as always. Get Bryce Young some linemen. I feel that. Toxic. I feel that. Hey, Toxic, don't y'all have a second interview with Harbaugh too? All right, so the list of the free agency, we keep pounding, wanting me to go through this, so I'll go through this, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, let's take a look at the pending free agents. So we got Raheem Blackshear. I keep him. I mean, I think you could sign him for cheap. Okay, I mean, I don't think it would cost too much, right? Von Miller stinks. Von Miller's just old, Matt Chatter. I think Blackshear is a great asset. I think he showed some explosiveness on offense in that backfield. I like him. Definitely returning punts and kicks. I think he's excellent back there. DJ Chark, you let him go. Bum. Laviska Shenault, bum. Can't stay healthy. Thinks he's built like Derrick Henry. Send his ass on down the road. Amir Smith Marset, I think you keep him. I think he showed some versatility at the end. Derek Wright, walk. Giovanni Ricci, walk. Steven Sullivan, sign. This thing is lagging. Hold on, guys. We're lagging a little bit. Let me do something. Give me 1 second. We are lagging a little bit. Got to delete some windows here. That should be better now. A little bit better. Sorry, I'm lagging a little bit. All right, Sullivan. Oh, we already went Sullivan. So Richie, Steven Sullivan, I'd sign him. I think he showed enough promise this season. Where did we go here? Hold on. Damn, we went way too far down. This thing is lagging like crazy. I don't know if it's this website or what. Yo, all right, relax, bro. There's like too much going on their website. Good God. All right, DJ. All right, let's start over. Blackshear, sign him. Okay. 1 year deal. Super small. DJ Chark, pass. Lavisca Chenault, pass. Amir Smith, sign. Derek Wright, pass. Giovanni Ricci, pass. Steven Sullivan, sign. Il Manning, never heard of him, never seen him play, pass. David Sharp, pass. Gabe Jackson, came off the couch, stepped in, did pretty solid. But I'm going to still say pass. Justin McCray, pass. Henry Anderson didn't even play it down this year. Pass. LeBron Ray, pass. Nick Thurman stepped up. I give him a chance. A 1 year deal. Sign. Chris Wormley, what did he do? Pass. Deshaun Williams, pass. Brian Burns, sign him, tag him, and trade him. That's all you can do. YGM showed some promise when he wasn't injured, and then when he came back, showed a little bit more promise. Do we take another chance with them? And that's another issue, Josh. Yeah, our roster's so thin. What do we do? All right, what do we do? Like some of these guys, it's like you want to say sign because we're so thin in so many positions. I'm going to say pass. I mean, I'm going to say sign. Sorry. I meant to say sign YGM. I think that he showed enough promise when he was healthy. He came back and showed some promise. So I'm going to say sign him. Marquise Haynes, pass. Can't stay healthy. Tay Davis, pass. Done nothing. Carew Gruger-Hill, I say sign. Deion Jones, I say sign. Frankie Louvu, sign. Shaquille Griffin, we're so thin at that position. I'd say you sign him. CJ Henderson, part of me wants to say sign him but he just gets cooked. He gets cooked all the time. So I'm going to say pass. Troy Hill, sign. He did enough for me. Jeremy Chan, I want to keep him. I think if they use him correctly and put him in the back to safety where he belongs, I say sign him. Sam Franklin, I think he's a great special teams guy. Brings in some depth. I'd say sign him. And of course, you got to keep JJ Jansen. So that's my free agency breakdown. Oh, gosh. So many comments. Perfect, Chris. Thank you. Keep in mind. Yeah, I know. Agreed so far. Nice. Battlehawks were the number one team to most likely get Belichick. Nice. Okay. Everybody else seems pretty good. Agreed on all of those. I like that. Yeah. And they're all cheap deals. And it just keeps depth on the roster. I mean, we're so thin. It's like you have no choice, right? Keep pounding. If Bill Belichick wants him, he will get him. Yeah, he will. All right. So the question I have for you guys is this. All right. Did the Panthers make the wrong call with Bryce Young, or was CJ Stroud's success just a byproduct of a better situation? I'm going to go in on this, guys. I know I went in on it on some shorts, but you heard it from me but you didn't hear it from me. Does that make sense? You didn't hear it live, right? You heard it from a video of me holding my phone. Because this is a high-stakes world of the NFL, and quarterback selections are thin. The Carolina Panthers were at crossroads again. But the question that whether they made the right move for Bryce Young or if CJ Stroud's success is a mere reflection of more favorable environment. CJ Stroud's playoff debut with the Houston Texans has become the stuff of legends. Okay? Catapulting their team into the NFL's Elite Eight, They challenged the Ravens, didn't turn out the way that they probably wanted, but it is what it is. Still a great season. The narrative surrounding Stroud's success, though, raises eyebrows in Carolina because we're us fans, right? We're us fans, Carolina Panthers fans, right? Armed with that number one pick in the 2023 NFL draft, chose Young one spot ahead of Stroud. Now, the question here is generational talent or a systematic advantage. The debate rages whether Stroud's brilliance is a testament to his generational talent, or was it because of the substantial landing in a more conductive environment? Now, executives from other teams have weighed in on this. One even said that if you drop Stroud, another NFL executive said this, no joke, and I can show you the quote. Said that if I have my receipts when I explain this shit, so trust me, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay, so if anybody wants to call me out on this, I have receipts. If you drop, this is what this NFL executive said. He goes, if you drop Stroud in Carolina, would he have the same success? That was the question. He answered with no way in hell. So that means that the Houston Texans, under their leadership of general manager Nick Caserio and first-year head coach DeMeco Ryans, all deserve the credit in the world with the environment that they created around CJ Stroud. Now, the tale of the two timelines unfold as the Panthers and Texans both are undergoing significant overhauls, right? In that timeline of going through an overhaul, the same thing with this, and I'm talking about last year, not this year, with very different results for both teams, right? The Texans orchestrated a strategic rebuild under Cesario's cap recalibration. Then he found success with getting CJ Stroud. Then for us, we were operating on nearly the same identical timeline, if you think about it. We face the aftermath of cleaning house after a dismal season now. Okay? Now, the thing is that Stroud's stats versus Young's struggles, that's a numbers game, right? Stroud put up an impressive stats. 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 100.8 passer rating. And then against that's just an obliteration to Young's struggles, right? Young had over 2,800 yards, 11 touchdowns, a 73.7% rating. The emphasis on this, though, is keeping Young. The emphasis that the Panthers fucked up in this whole thing is that they were trying to keep Bryce Young in the pocket to protect him. That resulted in what compromised what he's known best for, which is his creativity. That's what defined him as a quarterback at his time at Alabama. But he also was sacked 62 times behind a struggling offensive line that basically replicated Swiss cheese. Holes everywhere. Right? So those are the challenges that hindered his performance, in my opinion. Yes, there was a whole thing of, was it a mess of failures or was it a cornerback conundrum? Because some other executives from around the league, I can find these quotes for you, so I have receipts again, dissected the Carolina's failures, attributed them to the lack of the run game, playmakers, and the struggling offensive line. The blame game ensues with one executive stating, I have this quote, and I can show you. He stated that you tried to drop a unique quarterback into a bad situation and you can't even protect him. So that's two different NFL executives. saying these things. So the Panthers' decision-making coupled with the shortcomings in their supporting cast becomes a focal point of scrutiny. But the young struggles are not solely attributed to the situation, but also to a lack of confidence. Okay. I'm going to get into him. Amplified by a multitude of voices in his ear. He was like Randy Orton with multiple voices in his head. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Everybody and their grandma was telling what this kid, everybody and their grandma was telling what this kid what to do. The quarterback faced challenges not only results, but not only in the results part, but it also managed the whole catastrophe around him. So the question arises, did the Panthers select the wrong player, or was it the environment that was a crucial factor in the Young's rocky start? The whole draft dilemma of Young versus Stroud versus Richardson, right? Let's not forget about Anthony Richardson now, because the NFL draft complexity comes to the forefront as executives evaluate their choices made by the Panthers. The debate between Young and Stroud, two distinctly different players. It's like in the tough decision faced in 2007 NBA draft between Greg Oden. This is a perfect example between Greg Oden and Kevin Durant. So the presence of Anthony Richardson further complicates the evaluation, leaving room for second guessing. Closing the book on Young. Panthers costly gamble. I know. Let's acknowledge this for a minute because it's too early to close the book on Young. The Panthers grappled with the high cost of their gamble. You're trading 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and DJ Moore to move up for Young intensifies the pressure to immediate returns. Now, I want to let you know something right now. I would never trade up for a quarterback. I don't think it's worth it. I would never do that kind of trade if I was a GM. I would never trade up for a quarterback, no matter how bad I needed it. 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks and my star wide receiver. That's just bad. That's just bad management on Scott Fitterer and David Tepper's part. Just so you know. The Panthers have dropped Young into a challenging situation, in my opinion. And that is the reason why we've seen the outcome of last year. I think that Stroud's the sure thing, though. I think he's the golden boy in Texas. I think in the Texas camp, Stroud has emerged as he's definitely the sure thing. He's displayed poise, ball security, hell, made a playoff debut, a near passer rating. The Texans have their golden boy. Okay? They have secured him. That still leaves us searching for answers, though. But here's the thing. Smart versus bull. Right? Smart versus bull. The Stroud intelligence under that microscope. The narrative that takes an investigating turn to me. So think about this way. The narrative that takes an interesting turn for me. As reports surfaced about Stroud's performance on that S2 cognition test, which they need to get fucking rid of it. There's accusations out there. I have receipts on this too. There's accusations that leaked his scores that apparently attempted to undermine Stroud's intelligence so that teams that had interacted with him dismissed the claims. Now, executives affirm Stroud's intelligence, labeling the leak scores as bullshit. Just so you know. This is really looking like a complete rebuild. Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. I say this to y'all. O-line is so garbage. Both quarterbacks will look like shit. Exactly. And NFL executives are saying that. I have quotes. Says the anonymous NFL executive, but it's an NFL executive. I'm running a West Coast spread. That's what I'm running. I'm running a Miami style offense. I'm running a West Coast spread offense. Keep pounding. That's the system I'm running with Bryce Young. Get that ball out quick. You're going to need 3 offensive line guys. Absolutely. You're going to need to draft a left tackle. You're going to need to draft a center, and you're either going to have to draft a left guard or a left or right guard. I truly believe that. This is not it's not going to be solved in one off season. It's going to take 2 or 3. Absolutely. Well, that's why I had to come on here and explain that. Keep pounding. Marcos had to get that out off his chest. I don't. You're AJ Brooks. You make a fair point. I'm gonna go back to cooking now. Marcos, make sure you make me some too, boy. Make me some. All they see is 2 quarterbacks. Not the other 52 players on the coaching staff. It's like the rest doesn't matter to them. That's what I was explaining. That's what I was explaining. That's what I was. Yeah, the S2 test needs to get out of the NFL draft. It just needs to be based off of what their performance at the draft and what they've done. They just need to go based off of film and draft and the combine. Yeah, absolutely. You're just going to need to get speed on the outside. If you're going to want a West Coast spread offense, you have to have speedy wide receivers. All right, last topic of the day, guys, and then I got to go. So let's talk about this real quick because basically the Carolina Panthers have left these guys on the sideline. All right. Because we know the Panthers are looking for that new head coach, but why is the absence of Bill Belichick and Harbaugh? Why is that? It raises it makes me scratch my head because I think it's a missed opportunity, but some people think it's a strategic move. I think the coaching search has taken an intriguing turn, notably 2 heavyweights in the football world, Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh. Panthers seemingly steer clear. Both of these coaching Titans questions arise. Is it a missed opportunity or is it a strategic plan in place? I don't know. It's like Belichick and Harbaugh are off our radars for some reason. And I think when the Panthers initially released their coaching candidate list, it made sense that Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh were not on it, part of me, because obviously Belichick was still with the New England Patriots. Obviously, Harbaugh was gearing up for the national championship. So maybe that was the logical reasons as to why that they weren't on there. But however, as the interview process has unfolded, their absence is still continued. So, and both of these guys are coaching giants that they're just like ghosts, it seems like, to this team. And I don't know why. Maybe they won't take the interview, right? Maybe Jim Harbaugh doesn't really want to interview with the Panthers, right? Maybe Bill Belichick doesn't want to interview with the Panthers, right? I don't know. But then you've got the Falcons, right? Our rivalry team, right? 2 weeks in the interview process, Bill Belichick and the Harbaugh remain off the Panthers list still, but are both finalists for our division rival, the Atlanta Falcons. So the big question here is why did they never top the Panthers coaching candidate list? Because the absence to me brings of any indication or media stories regarding their consideration still makes me scratch my head. I understand that this is a competitive market when it comes to the coaching ordeal. But in a competitive coaching market with 8 vacancies, the Panthers have been labeled one of the least appealing landing spots. So I'm going to be honest there. And Mike Sando of The Athletic ranked in the least desirable coaching opening. And the speculation arises that Bill Belichick and Harbaugh were possibly asked for interviews but declined. So the Panthers' the less than ideal situation may have deterred these coaching giants from pursuing the opportunity. Right? Belichick's winning agenda versus the Panthers overhaul. Bill Belichick, the calculation is straightforward. His goal is to become the winningest coach in the NFL history. The Panthers needing a comprehensive overhaul that could take several years, right? Belichick's desire for immediate wins clashes with the team's need for a full rebuild. So then additionally, Belichick's aversion to potential interference from an involved owner like David Tepper might have influenced his decision as well. Harbaugh's complexity, patience, premier offers. Jim Harbaugh presents a more complex scenario. Despite expressing interest in a NFL return, Harbaugh can afford to be patient, considering his successful time at Michigan. So I think that teams with more established rosters, such as the Chargers, are actively pursuing him, because Harbaugh's ability to choose between a fresh start or joining a team with an established quarterback like Justin Herbert complicates the decision-making process. Now, while the Atlanta Falcons, which I know Toxic's in here, pursuing big splashes, the Panthers are facing the question of whether they are better off not interviewing Belichick and Harbaugh. Bill Belichick's impending retirement adds urgency to his coaching time, potentially jeopardizing the stability that we're seeking here in Carolina. While Belichick's recent struggles with developing young quarterbacks has, as seen with Mac Jones, raises some concerns. Then you talk about Harbaugh's track record, success, intentions. Jim Harbaugh's track record includes successful in overseeing the development of a young quarterback, as evident with Colin Kaepernick. However, this parting with the San Francisco 49ers due to disagreements with the front office does raise questions about the potential tensions in a coaching marriage with David Tepper, known for his hands-on approach. So, wise choices for stability. The Panthers are focused on the other top candidates. So we have refrained from, it seems like they're refraining from Bill Belichick and Harbaugh. It remains focused on landing one of the other top candidates in this coaching cycle, like the Ben Johnsons, like the Dave Canales, like the Bobby Slowicks, Evero, Mike McDonald, right? Time will reveal whether this decision, guys, becomes a regrettable one or a strategic move, depending where these guys go. These are a lot of headline grappling names. The coaching saga in Carolina continues. We'll see how it folds. We'll see how everything unfolds in due time. Yeah, Toxic, you're speaking facts on that. He's definitely stubborn. Yeah, that's another thing, James. That's facts too. I think so too. I don't think Ken Dorsey could save this franchise. I think Harbaugh could. I think Belichick could. I think Wilkes could. I even think Evero could. The least desirable. That's the issue too. I still think Harbaugh would be the best choice, but you're right. It doesn't look like that will happen. No, it doesn't. The scouts and the GM could not draft to save their life. No, they could not. If you could give a king's supper ransom for super ransom for Harbaugh and promise to let him cook for years, for sure. For sure. The moment that Harbaugh even started going for interviews in the NFL, we should have started showing interest in him. Why he didn't is beyond me. What's equally baffling is why he liked us. Because he played here. 3 years of wasted drafts. Absolutely. I've been telling y'all that. You could, but he wants to throw the bag at Ben Johnson instead, man. Matt Chatter. Yeah, y'all are making moves early. I feel that. Is this thing on? Why are we settling with while Atlanta is capitalizing on their own? Could be also the sportsology getting involved in that too. They'll keep pouting. We don't know how much involvement they're really getting into with all that. Honestly, Mad Chatter, I think you're right. I think that's I think that is the exact name for David Tepper. If you looked it up in a dictionary and you looked up egomaniac, David Tepper's name has to be on that. It has to be right beside it. Wilkes will never come back here. I will tell y'all that right now. Wilkes will never come back here. The only way Wilkes was coming back to North Carolina is to coach that high school team that he went to high school at. Tepper wants someone that will succeed, but only while he gets the credit for it. Exactly. Because he all he could do was credit himself when he fired Frank Wright, talking about how he brought in brought Messi here and brought Beyonce. Talked about concerts. Like, no one gives a fuck about that. We want a winning football. Here's a controversial take. Just like I made that meme with Dave Chappelle. Here's a controversial take. You could shut the fuck up. David Tepper. You could just shut the fuck up. That's what you could do. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You could shut the fuck up. The only thing David is good at is making tons of billions, and that's it. Yeah. If he brings Boomer Green Bay to Charlotte, would you like him? I mean, I don't. If he brings Boomer Green Day to Charlotte, would you like him? I mean, I like Green Day, but it wouldn't make me like him. Could you trouble yourself for a glass of shut the hell up? That's like off of Happy Gilmore. Tepper could also actually apologize the time instead of accepting his consequences. Again, accountability. That's the issue. He will never admit that he was wrong because he's a billionaire. Green Day is booked for PNC Park in August. Nice. There are some concerts I'm looking into Charlotte, so I'll definitely be concert season about to start picking up. So definitely going to be hammering out some of those. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off of here. Been on here for a solid 2 hours today. 2 hours. So make sure you pound that like button. There's no reason why we have 25 people in here, only 18 likes. So we should have 25 likes. All right. 25 likes before I sign off. So make sure you pound that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. And also join the Discord. The link tree's down below. So the link tree to the Discord's down below. Go check it out. Follow me on all my social media. I'm very active on there. Don't forget about our sponsorship of BetUS. Okay. Don't forget about the sponsorship of BetUS. That's the sponsorship of all our live stream. Sign up for free today. You throw down a deposit, they'll give you 125% bonus. So free money, 125%. So if you put $100 down, they'll give you $125 free on your initial deposit. And with the playoffs right here, right? Got 2 games left. The AFC Championship, the NFC Championship, then the Super Bowl. I would take some free money to put down on some of these games and some prop bets. Just go check it out. Sign up for free today, and they'll give you 125% bonus on your first bet. So go check them out. Appreciate everyone joining. Just like Keep Pounding said, give me a sub, give me a like. That's all I ask. It goes a long way. Feel free to get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts as well. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off of here. Got to go get something to eat, go for a run. Peace.